Hey, Professor Aucoin back with you. This is probably going to be the last video in the series of vignettes leading up to the release of the new Mystified album by Professor Aucoin and the jazz scientist. I just a few questions from some folks who have gotten back with me that I wanted to address with this. One of them is how do we get the files to all jive? Well, the main thing you've got to be concerned about is making sure that when all the files come back in, they're all WAV files. That's going to get your best quality of sound. The other thing is to make sure that the sampling is the same speed. 44.1 is the standard, and as long as everybody does it, it's really easy to hit the wrong button and get one off. I think we had one or two wayward samples that came back, but it was just a matter of asking the guys to say, hey, before you send it again, click the other button, and it's a fix really easy to do. So those are the two things. Make sure you're getting back WAV files and the sample sizes are uniform. The other thing has to do with mixing. How did I go about doing the mixing? Well, after being a band director and an orchestra director and a jazz band director for over 30 years, I kind of know what I want to hear in terms of balance and blend. So that was not a problem really at all. The thing that I needed to work on and I needed help with was making sure that I was using EQ and compression in a way that made sense. I can sit there and push the buttons, but if you don't really know what you're doing, you can make more of a mess of things than it's worth. So, of course, I ask a lot of questions, and my go-to guy on this was Randy Hexter, who again is the master engineer in our family here. And Randy helped me out with some compression issues and some EQ issues. And I was able to take that and make some templates, since everybody recorded on basically the same setup, and just use the templates basically for the rest of the pieces. We went through one tune really, really solidly, and then I took templates from that and applied it to the rest of the tunes, only having to make small adjustments and modifications depending on the kind of tune it is and how thick or how thin I wanted something to sound at a particular time in order to accommodate the blend and the balance in the piece. So that's kind of what we did with the blend and balance and the mixing. The mastering was a different story altogether. Sometimes you just need to know when to say when, and that's the time. Mastering is a totally different subject to recording and to mixing, and I totally deferred to Randy Hexter on the mastering piece of this, and Randy did a great job with the mastering. I sat with him one day, and I would have had to sit with him another 20 times before I would even be able to attempt to do what he was doing. Not only did he use different tools, he used them in a way that was very well educated and very well thought out and very appropriate for the music, and that just takes years of experience. So I'm not going to pretend, don't know how to master, don't know really a whole lot about it, so I went with a pro on that, and that was Randy Hexter was the one who really did the mastering on this particular recording. Okay, a few of you wanted to see what my setup looked like, and I'm going to warn you right now, it's not super big, it's not that impressive, but it's functional. You don't need a giant setup with big racks of outboard gear anymore. So many things that you can accomplish right on board. You used to need mounds of equipment for. Now it's just built right into the software of the digital workstation. And like I said before, I'm using Pro Tools, and I'm going to go ahead and do a scan of the space. Just kind of let you see what's there, and then I'll talk about it for a few seconds, and then I'll get back with you. Got a keyboard that I used to write with. I'm using a Universal Audio Apollo Twin, using a PC with a solid-state hard drive and a high-speed USB connection. Of course, Pro Tools on that. I'm using Yamaha monitors, 8-inch monitors, and then of course over here I've got my bass and guitar that I used, and I also use my acoustic guitar to write. So that's basically the setup. Nothing super elaborate, but it definitely gets the job done. Well, thank you for following the vignettes. I've had a great time doing them for you and sharing some of the process that went into making this record. And as I said, there will be information coming out next that will have to do with the release date of the project and pre-sales, and also the website will be going live. And I'm looking forward to sharing all of that with you, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you think about the project. And again, I'd like to thank all the folks involved in doing this: John David, Randy Hexter, Trey Wright, Sam Skelton, and Carla Harris. Without them, this couldn't have possibly happened. They were fantastic, great people to work with. If you know them, you know what I'm talking about. Some of the best people on earth. And it's just been a pleasure to hear my music come to life. And I'm looking forward to sharing it with you, and I hope you like it too. So without further ado, I'm going to let you listen to a little bit of it.
Because
and enjoy it.
I'll tell you a story, make you wonder why.